Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I often go into reading a book with some sort of expectation, or at the very least, as the book progresses, have ideas about how I think the plot is going to play out or what's going to happen to our characters. But sometimes a book surprises me and doesn't go in the direction I expect at all, or I love it when I wasn't sure it was going to be my cup of tea, or vice versa. So, these 5 books I'm sharing today all totally defied my expectations, and I was completely wrong about them for 5 very different reasons. If you decide you want to check any of these books out and purchase a copy, I will have them all linked down below. And the affiliate commission from those links, although very minimal, does make a huge, huge difference for a really small channel like mine. So if you plan to purchase the book anyway, I'll just have those links there as a way to also support my channel while you do that. Thanks so much. Enough of that, and on with the list of books that surprised me. First up here is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. In this book, we're following June. She's in, I think, like her late 20s, early 30s, and she is part of a family where all of the women in her family line have slowly started to mentally deteriorate as they age. And that deterioration kind of comes at different ages for different women. So she's sort of sitting there as she cared for her grandmother. She started to notice, like, what are the common signs and symptoms so that she could start keeping an eye out for those things in herself. And when she starts noticing some of those happening, we kind of learn a bit more about what's causing that madness and where that is taking her in life. This is a journey of self-exploration and also has some time travel involved in there. It was a really fun story, and I was enjoying all of the sort of twists and turns along the way, the whole way through. But then at the end, I was just bawling my eyes out completely unexpectedly out of absolutely nowhere. I was like tears streaming down my face, snot, the whole thing. I was bawling my eyes out completely out of nowhere. I had been slightly emotional at a couple of points throughout the story, especially as some kind of sad situations and information gets revealed throughout the book. But I did not expect to be so like laid out by the end of this book. It hit me so unexpectedly hard at the end, and I was shocked to be that torn up about it. So this one totally took me by surprise. I thought I knew where it was heading, and I was right about where it was heading. The ending was not even a surprise to me, but it still made me bawl my eyes out completely unexpectedly. Next up, we have The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. I went into this book completely blind, and it totally paid off. I made some very incorrect assumptions about where I thought the plot was going to go, and I was totally wrong, and it kept me really engaged throughout the whole story because I was like on the edge of my seat wondering how in the world this was all going to be resolved, how things were going to connect, where the pieces of the puzzle were going to slot in. I was confused in the best possible way throughout most of this book, and I loved that experience. So because I think that going in blind is the best way to do this book, I'm not going to really tell you anything about the plot other than to say you're following a woman who's investigating. She's trying to kind of figure out what's going on in this weird plot of land near where she lives. That's the best I'm going to tell you because I want you to have the same experience that I did of uncovering and finding out all the details as you go, just like I did. So the premise, the plot, how it's written, how it ends, it all just really surprised me and it captured my attention. And it's a really unique book. I've never read anything like it. So it surprised me the whole way through. And I was wrong repeatedly about where I thought the plot was going as the book progressed. Number 3 out of 5 on this list is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This is a classic psychological thriller. You are following a psychoanalyst or a psychologist as he is treating a woman who is in a mental health institution, and she went completely silent, refused to speak after presumably killing her husband. So you're kind of seeing this dynamic between patient and care provider. And I 100% did not guess the twist on this one. I was so far off on what I thought was happening and what I expected the plot twist to be here and the reveal to be. I was way off. But the beauty of this book is that I was totally wrong about it. It completely surprised me. But as soon as the reveal happened and the plot twist happened, I immediately could recall multiple points in the book where that was threaded through and hinted at, and I just totally missed it. So this just was masterfully written, in my opinion. I often do guess the plot twist or the reveal of thrillers or mysteries. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I think some people it comes more naturally, and also my brain cannot like turn off the part of itself that's trying to solve the mystery. I know a lot of people try to intentionally like turn that part of their brain off so that they get that surprise and that excitement at the end. I've tried really hard and I just can't do it. So oftentimes I've pieced things together kind of accidentally as I go. If the book is written in a way where there are those like breadcrumbs throughout the book. This one though, wow, I missed every breadcrumb the whole way through. They were there. It's beautifully written. It's so good. But I was shocked, jaw on the floor, shocked when the reveal happened on this one. So good. I don't know if any thriller or mystery has compared to this one for me. Sets the bar really high, but I love it. I love it. So give it a try if you haven't already. I know it's very popular. So a lot of folks probably had a similar experience to me, or maybe I'm the only one who was so surprised by the ending. Coffee break. Okay, next up on this list is Happy Place by Emily Henry. In this one, we're following Harriet and Wynne, and it is a second chance romance. The two of them have recently called off their engagement, but they haven't told their friends yet. And they're now all together for like a long weekend getaway with those friends for sort of a sad occasion. So they don't feel like it's the right time and place to be bringing up what happened between the two of them. So they are forced proximity at this weekend retreat, and they are still pretending that they're engaged for basically the sake of their friends. Based on the reviews and based on the synopsis, was not convinced it was going to be like a top tier romance for me. I expected it to be pretty mid-level if I liked it at all. I'm not really a fan of second chance romance in general. Forced proximity, I can kind of take it or leave it. And so I was like, oh geez, this is going to be an Emily Henry book that I don't really like. And I read it anyway because I want to read all of her books. And I was blown away. This is actually my favorite Emily Henry book of all of her books. I just love it. I absolutely love it. The characters felt so real to me. Harriet and Wynne, I liked both of them. And honestly, yes, it's a romance, absolutely. And it follows kind of a typical romance plot structure in a lot of ways, kind of what you would expect. And, you know, it ends how you would expect for a romance, all of that good stuff. But the whole middle is really actually like a character study, and they're dealing with really complex issues. They feel like very real people to me. And I loved the setting. I loved all of our side characters, all the friends who are along on this trip. I loved them as well. I loved the setting. The setting is so beautiful and really like summery, nostalgic vibes to me. And the second chance romance component happens in a very different way than I've ever seen before. So it actually worked for me. It totally worked for me. So this was a few years ago. I read this one a few years ago. It was early on into my foray into romance. So I would actually be curious to reread it and see if it still holds up for me the same way today, now that I've read a lot more romance from multiple different authors. But as of now, this stands as my favorite Emily Henry book, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a phenomenal book. So good. The characters, the setting, working through difficulties, the second chance component, the forced proximity, all of it worked for me. Totally loved it. And it really surprised me. I went into it thinking it was going to be kind of okay. And I was shocked. And then last but not least, we have Eva Luna by Isabel Allende. In this book, we're following Eva Luna as she tells us the story of her life. She was orphaned at a young age. She has a creative streak. There's a little bit of romance, and she gets embroiled in some socio-political drama in the 1940s in South America during a time of unrest. So I read this book for the first time over a decade ago, and I had picked it up on a whim at a library book sale or a used bookstore. I can't remember, but I had never heard of this book or of this author. I read the premise and it sounded interesting to me, so I gave it a try. And oftentimes when I pick out a book with no recommendation from family or friends, no clue who the author is, like no reason in particular to be picking the book up, my expectations for those books are usually pretty low. I'm just kind of hoping for did I like it enough to make it worth the read? Great. I count that as a win. This book, though, 100% captured me to the point that I went through like a year, 2 years or something, just reading Isabel Allende's work. I could not get away from her writing and her authorship after reading Eva Luna. And to this day, Eva Luna remains my favorite book by Isabel Allende. I actually reread that book last year to see if I still wanted to keep the physical copy that I owned on my bookshelves. And I decided to keep it, and it retained its 5-star rating for me. It is just such a phenomenal story. The setting and the characters are unbelievable. And Isabel Allende does such a wonderful job of demonstrating how political and social contexts and environments influence people's day-to-day lives and their decisions, and the way they live, the way they interact with people, the opportunities that they do or don't have. And this book just still hits me so hard. And I think especially in today's political climate, rereading this book last year gave me a lot to think about. And I am so happy to have kept this book, to still have it on my shelf, to have it retain its place of honor. This book really changed my reading trajectory, and it's so rewarding to reread a book like a decade after you purchased it and loved it the first time and still come back to it and have those same feelings. So Eva Luna surprised me because I had no expectations going into it, and it totally changed my reading life and my reading journey, and I still love it today. So there you have it, 5 books that I was completely wrong about, that surprised me, that shocked me, that were unexpected, and all for very different reasons. Let me know down in the comments a book that was surprising for you. I love hearing about those experiences that people have. I just think reading it's so transformative, and when you stumble across something that makes you think differently or that defies your expectations, that's such a rewarding experience, at least for me, and I would love to hear about yours. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.